So Alexander the Great, Volkanovski, after his second loss to Islam Makhachev, comes out and says he has a problem. And that problem is he always has to be fighting. He always has to be training. He always has to be doing something. Or else it gets to the point that he thinks about doing himself in. Which I don't know what it means, but I'm assuming it means taking yourself out. Like, that's a very unhealthy way to live. I don't know if he needs to see a psychiatrist or he's got some issues, some kind of issues. Obviously, he has issues. If he doesn't have an off switch, he can't stop himself. He has to always be doing something, training, fighting, what have you. Okay, and then Andrew Tate comes out and says, oh, well, someone has to get it. Because he says this because he can relate to Volkanovski. He says, we destroy people so we don't destroy ourselves. We fight others so we don't fight ourselves. Because apparently it's hard for them to not be doing something. Because then they start to fight themselves and they start to destroy themselves. And they think about doing themselves in. I don't know about Andrew Tate, but it sounds like he can relate. So I think ideally the best way to be would be like to have like a mental switch that you could turn on and off. Like when you need to be motivated and you want to be motivated and you want to train, you could just flip the switch on and all of a sudden you're motivated and you go out there and you get it done and you train hard. And then you go out there and fight. And then after you're done, you flip the switch off. And everything's cool, everything's calm, everything's peaceful. And you go back to your family. And you don't need to always be training. You don't need to always be fighting. You're cool. Cool as a cucumber. Okay, ideally that's the way to be. Because if not, you're on one or other end, one or the other end of the spectrum. Either you're like Volk and you always have to be fighting or training, or you're like people with zero motivation and they can't do anything. So the switch is off instead of on, like all the time. But obviously it's a lot better. You have to be thankful, Volk, that your switch is always on instead of always off. Because one leads to not accomplishing anything, and the other leads to a UFC champion beating Max Holloway 3 times, nearly beating Islam Makhachev the first time they fought, and then obviously losing the second fight, which I don't think it has to do with skill, because I think Volkanovski can beat Makhachev. I just think it's what he's going through, having a kid and having the issue of always having to be on and never getting a chance to rest the mind. And that is vital. It's vital that you rest your mind and your body, obviously. But it's a lot better to always be motivated than to always have zero motivation. Because at least you can get things done. So that's a positive thing that he has. And he's a UFC champion, which not very many people can say that they have been or that they are now. So it's difficult. It's difficult to create that switch, to be able to, I'm not there. I'm trying to get to that point, but it's possible. It's very possible to where you could just be chilling and then you could say, oh, I need to get this done. And you just flip the switch on and you have like tons of motivation. And I think it starts out being really relaxed. Relaxing the mind, calming the mind, taming the mind, having control over the mind. That's where it starts. And once you accomplish that, then you can go through and see, figure out your negative patterns and try to change those to positive patterns, and then keeping your positive patterns. And it's a long process, and it's very difficult, and a lot of people don't have the opportunity to even attempt it because people are so busy trying to get things done and just trying to survive, so they don't have the time to really work through any kind of issue. But I mean, maybe a Volk can wait until after he's done fighting and then start doing the soul searching, figuring out how to calm his mind down, one, and then how to recognize the negative patterns and to change those to positive patterns, and learn how to change the mind, control the mind, 100% control over the mind. Relaxed when you want to be relaxed, motivated when you want to be motivated, happy, sad, angry, energetic, excited, enthusiastic. Imagine being able to go into any of those states whenever you feel like it. That's possible. But first you need the calmness of the mind, which I think doesn't seem like he has. But anyway, just, I guess, congratulations to Islam and also to Volkanovski. You know, short notice fight. And yeah. But hopefully, you know, he figures this out and he doesn't need to always be fighting and always be training. I mean, after the fight, he was like, please, UFC, keep me busy, because if not, I've thought of doing myself in, which I guess means taking myself out. I don't know. Like, that's pretty deep. That's pretty bad. If when you're not busy, you get to a point of just not even being able to function and not even wanting to go on. So hopefully he can figure it out and he can get help and he can become the best version of himself. Yeah, but be thankful, be grateful that you're not stuck on no motivation, because being motivated 100% of the time is a lot better than being unmotivated 100% of the time.